I'm driven by the results I see around me. I'm in an industry that is so unique because you're able to see the results. Before I build a mine, you see a pitch of land, nothing around it. Okay, sometimes you're in a rural community and you find that there is no electricity, there's no water, there are no schools. They're just vulnerable people that are looking for a job, or farming people that might not be vulnerable in terms of their ethics, but maybe more economically vulnerable. And then you build this unique investment called a mine. You dig a hole, and one hole leads to other holes, and before you know it, those holes leads to a bankable feasibility study, and then a creation of a mine. And by so doing, a little mall, from the mall shopping complex comes schools, hospitals, clinics, little dorpie in the city, and then voila, you have Johannesburg. So you can actually see it becomes very tangible. And the offsets are so unique because whatever it is that you produce, you can then, in a multiply effect, create the end product. So the offsets are so good. It doesn't just end by you taking out the mineral. It continues by virtue of what you see here. Nearly 90% of what you see here comes from mining. Nearly every other, commodity that you have is one or other way influenced by a mine or a mining product. And that's what it is that drives me. We're very aware of what the challenges are, like in my industry. The challenges are, sometimes commodity prices are not meeting your objectives, or it could be the markets are low. But there are also other challenges that have to do with legislation. There's a legislative requirement that everybody has to comply with, the Triple B Codes and the Charter. And if we can do that collectively, then of course we then can create that process that will help sustain the economy of South Africa. But what we also should do is the guard against transfer pricing that I always talk about, the illicit outflow of capital. The government needs so much taxation to be able to invest in all these projects, whether it's road infrastructure, whether it's health or whatever. We also need to make sure that we commit to skills upliftment, job creation. And by so doing, we also have to, help and listen to the children. The kids were saying, please help us with the education. So there's so much that South Africans can do for South Africa, and to make sure that South Africa functions in a way that South Africa Pty Limited becomes a very sustainable country. I think with us it came with, for instance, we were small. My parents took us to a boarding school to avoid bound education. I look colored because my mom is half Scottish, but I'm black. My father's Tswana. So Kibwa Tswana and I'm Tswana. And then you go to school, and then the kids didn't understand what kind of blacks are you that looks like colored. And it was very cool not to be black, rather to be colored. And we would refuse to be colored. We wanted to be who we are. So that sense of embracement of who we are helped a lot, because you find it transcendent to the belief you have in terms of the economy. And we also had to be very good at what we did to show that black people can achieve, So we always had to prove a point as children. And as adults, we find that it's not about proving a point, it's the responsibility of making sure that in the economy where you are, you make things function. The responsibility to make sure that South Africa happens and South Africa benefits from what you're doing. So, excuse me. Those are the features that help, because you find that a lot of the things you can't learn when you're an adult, you acquire from home, And of course, I come from a business family that's business orientated, and also I'm passionate about what I do, and I love what I'm doing. I just want to say to the awardees and the winners that congratulations, and you are actually the leaders of our economy. You're just at the pinnacle of waiting to exhale beyond where you are. And by virtue of winning, it's just the beginning, as Nelson Mandela say. I stand to look at the vista that I've traveled, and I think that I have just reached the end of the road. And then you realize there are many more hills to climb, and the road has not ended. So there's a lot to be done. And let us together, with each other, embrace South Africa and let South Africa function and keep South Africa going.